Yesterday, there was a record 7.7 billion in Bitcoin OTC volume only on Coinbase that was recorded. Now, what does that mean for the markets at the moment? Have we seen a shift and a massive trend change? I'm going to discuss that in this video, and we're going to start with Bitcoin, and then we'll touch on the altcoins very briefly. I'm always trying to keep you one step ahead of the markets, and especially the retail traders, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and you like the content. So if you have a look at Bitcoin right back in November, I want to show you something here. So this was accumulation taking place, and usually what happens is get consolidation sideways and liquidity sweeps below. That happened. But what's interesting about the move up and the break of this high, that only happened on 12th of January. A lot of the altcoins were actually moving earlier. We'll come back to that in a minute, but just keep that in mind. Now, if we move to present day and what's going on with the price at the moment, if you saw my last video, you would have seen that there's a risk that this was potentially an area of distribution, and then we have liquidity sweeps on the upper side. Again, no way of knowing for certain. We've had a strong correction in Bitcoin now. So for example, today it's already down 6%. And the problem is that, and this is a big problem now, is the levels that it's taken out. It's taken out this low here at 43,276. So that's a break of structure there. The important one, I think, will be the one here. So around the 41,300 level. If it breaks through here and continues to move down, then you can say that for Bitcoin anyway, the trend has changed. But what's interesting is it's printing a high now. A lot of the altcoins were printing highs around here. So around 24th, 25th of December. And we'll come on to that in just a minute, and I'll show you why that's significant. But basically, it seems that the altcoins always warn of a change before the wider crypto market, for example, even before Bitcoin. And that may have happened again here. And I think it's ironic that Coinbase was in the news again yesterday and today. And obviously, Brian Armstrong is coming to talk about how big this is for cryptocurrency, blah, 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 usual stuff. But it's ironic that it was Coinbase that almost marked the previous high. And it looks like it might have been the same again. So the way I think of it in my mind, because I explained to you guys that a lot of it's priced in now. So it looked like buy the rumor was the rally. So that was step one. Buy the rumor. That was the rally that moved Bitcoin up throughout 2023. That was buy the rumor about the ETF. Number two was all this stuff with the SEC, Gary Gensler, and mistaken tweets on Twitter, somebody hacking their account, etc. This was all liquidity. This was all, in my opinion, taking out the leverage positions, long and short. So you got a lot of volatility in Bitcoin both ways, because a lot of people were taking massive leverage positions, short and long, basically just trying to guess what would happen. Even though just before a news announcement, that's the most dangerous time to do it. But I think that's what took out everything. So this is what caused the rally. This is what took out all of the leverage positions. Number three, the Bitcoin ETF was actually approved. What did we get? We got price slowly grinding up. And again, I mentioned to you all in the last video that Bitcoin didn't really rally at all. However, it was pushing up a little bit, but the altcoins had rallied off the lows. Some of them had gone up 15, 20%. That was what looks like a bull trap. Now, number four, if it is playing out this way, then we did have sell the news, but the sell the news was not the Bitcoin ETF approval. Let's zoom in and I'll show you exactly what the sell the news was. The sell the news was literally the minute or a few minutes after the Bitcoin ETF was launched and live for trading. So literally, this is when US markets opened here. Literally, we got that little spike up. All of this was basically a bull trap. And then literally, the minute ETF actually started trading, sell the news. And from there, we're actually down from the highs already on Bitcoin, 12%, which is a lot for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not an altcoin, so that's a lot. And we're down impulsively. I always talk about impulsive moves and corrective moves, and they're very, very different. And these are clear impulsive moves down. And what that might suggest, no guarantees here, Bitcoin is very unpredictable, it's very volatile, and things can suddenly switch, of course. But the higher probability now is that any move up would be a correction and we could get wiped out again. That's very significant. But note that this is after the altcoins. The altcoins were already warning us. As I mentioned in many of my videos recently, we've already had an established downtrend. However, I was of the opinion that it's possible. There's a probability here at the lows, maybe 60-40, something like that, that the correction was over. And if we're starting a new run up, then we could have started that from the 8th of January. That's still possible technically. But more and more with the Bitcoin sell off, and now the altcoins looking weak, it's looking less and less likely. It's looking like this is indeed a three-wave correction. And let's see if this bottom trend line holds. This is AVAX. If this doesn't hold, this could move down very, very quickly. But notice the top. It was actually the 24th. And on Solana, I think it was the 25th. Let's just have a look at Solana really quickly. And Solana's looking even weaker. Just with the naked eye, you could just see from here, this move up looking very weak. Now, how do I know that this is more than likely going to be a correction and it's not the start of a massive run up? Well, the thing is, when things start to move up, what you tend to get, even with Solana here, you can see on 22nd of November when we're all the way at 51, what we get is the initial impulse move up, down, impulse move up, and then the next one is supported by the previous high typically. So this is a 1 2 1 2, and then we're off and running. And that's how you should move at the how things should start at the beginning. And I was hoping on AVAX and Solana we would see that. We saw the first move up and a correction, fine, 1 and a 2, but then the next move up, and then we should have corrected here, and then start attacking the highs again here, and then start moving off. We didn't even have enough strength in Solana to do a proper fake out of this trend line. That's how weak the market's looking right now. So these are worrying signs in the short term and something to keep an eye on. So personally, I have a couple of small shorts in the market, but otherwise I'm not long anything right now because it's hard to be long right now given what we're seeing, given the monumental news we just heard as well only a couple of days ago. These are telltale signs when everybody's getting very bullish and everybody thinks the ETF means you should just randomly buy everything. You should be worried. And that's why I'm very nervous about longing. I need to see confirmation. So even me, I've got a couple of shorts, see how it goes. And then I may exit them after if you get a bit more of a sell-off. And then I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what the market does. If we show signs of strength and we show that we're pushing up towards these highs for Solana and we're moving on, then we have something here. Another one that I discuss regularly is Fetch. This one was tricky, very tricky, because it had a powerful move, a brand new low, powerful move off the lows. But again, it's a three-wave move. But the problem is that three-wave took it to all-time highs, nearly all-time highs. That's where it's tricky. It's like, are we really at the end of the consolidation? Or are we going to break through this trend line and have a sell-off? Very, very difficult to say. To be honest, if everything's going to sell off, no crypto is going to be spared. So pretty much everything is going to go down to varying degrees, in my opinion. Let's have a look at another one. Cardano. So ADA here hit a high a lot earlier. Its high was actually on the 14th of December, and then it had a lower high here on the 28th. So we had three-wave move up. So we had a correction back down here. So it looked like possibly there's a 1, A, B, and a C, and the correction was over here. Again, we had that same move up. 1 and a 2, 1 and a 2. This one is being supported on this high. So it's, again, very unclear. What we need to see now is this to hold and it to start slowly curving around and attacking these highs. Like, for example, we've seen many times before. For example, this move with Cardano here, what do we see? After it's finished consolidating, the higher highs, higher lows, curving around, attacking the highs. That's what we need to see. And then we have a massive, then we get the massive green candle. If this starts to curve around and attack, but then obviously everything needs to start going up and recovering, including Bitcoin, then we could see the next move up. But really, Bitcoin needs to do something first for all of this to happen. And that's the one you probably want to keep the closest eye on now. Injective, I'm just showing you one of the other ones. This is one of the strongest coins, I think, for 2024 in general. And it's very tricky with these types of coins because even when there's sell-offs and stuff, it's hardly selling off. It's very, very strong. And it actually went to an all-time high on only the 9th of January. This is very tricky, but the way it approached that high definitely seems to be three-wave move. So what that might suggest is we had a 3 down, 3 up, and then now we should get a 3 or 5 wave down. So basically, if you're thinking of a rectangle, it's basically 1, 2, 3 in some variation. And that's what appears to be setting up. So I still don't even think something like Injective would be spared. I think if we were going to have a sell-off, it would come back down and start challenging these lows again we saw at 29. But if this happens, and like I said, the probability is increasing now considerably, So this is almost, in my opinion, more like a 80 or 90% that we're going to have continued correction. Not guaranteed. Don't really care either way, because I told you, being reactive in life is not a good thing, but in markets is really, really good. Wait and see what happens. Let the dust settle, and then take your positions, because next time we do move up, it's going to be a really strong move. Everything's going to obviously go up, and it's just about backing the winners, the ones that give you the most return on your investment. So if this is correct now, and we are more likely to see a correction, what this means is, if we get back down here for a lot of these coins, which I think will be the strongest ones, the buying opportunity will be incredible. But when will that happen? Well, let's discuss that. So if you have a look at Solana again, if this was all one move, and now we're having a bit of a correction, then we need to follow through with that first move again. So if that's the case, that first move was from 25th all the way to say 8th of Jan. So we got at least a couple of weeks, maybe more. So from 11th, you would estimate a couple of weeks again. So it might be as early as kind of end of Jan that we might be seeing some sort of bottoming pattern and then get ready for the next leg up. So this would all be consolidation. But remember, there's still a small chance that this is all just a mini slowdown and we start attacking these levels again, and then the leg starts from here. There's a small chance that's still possible. But then you may as well wait, miss out on the 5 or 10%, and then get in later, as I've been saying, just to be confident. Because the thing with crypto markets is some of these altcoins, especially if you're in some of the others, they moved up so high that it's not weird that they're having a big correction. Let me show you a really good example. So Neon is down 17% today. Yesterday it was up like 30%. But from the highs to the swing low, it was down 75%. Now, that's a massive correction. And you might be thinking, well, that means Neon's no good. Well, not really. Because if you really understand markets, you'll know that the only reason it has such a big correction and it looks big is because it went up so much. But when you zoom out, it doesn't actually look like that bigger correction at all. It just looks like a small pullback. The reason the correction is so big is literally because it went up 6,000% from September. Crazy, crazy. I only wish I had known about this in September, but I didn't. A lot of people didn't. But that's why the corrections look bigger. So I hope that makes sense as well. So don't assume that if the correction's bigger, it means there's something wrong with the coin. A lot of them moved up too fast. But at the same time, because they moved up fast, don't be surprised if we do get a sell-off, if we see 40-50% correction in altcoins from the highs, not from here, but from the 25th of December high. Don't be, and we're already maybe, 20% lower than that anyway. Don't be surprised. It's only because we moved up so far. I just, like I've mentioned on my videos many times, I don't want to get caught in a 40-50% correction. I'd rather give up 10% of gains to wait patiently and buy back at a better position. And if I'm wrong here and the 10% works out and we are now going to move off the lows and start a massive rally upwards, then fair enough. I'll get in later and it's all good. Thanks for listening.